Okay, Tyler Bryden here. Hopes everything is going well. We're live. This is the second iteration of this. You might have got a notification. I don't even know how that works if you're a subscriber. Did you just get a live notification? You saw an embarrassing first iteration and now you're here. I hope so. I hope that didn't put you off forever. Tyler Bryden. It's June 5th, 2024. I have been creating content on YouTube for a couple of years now. I always love creating videos. One thing I hate though, editing videos. And so how can I overcome this? That's the question I'm sort of asking here. And one of the thoughts I had is, hey, why don't I just record it live? By the time I'm done, recording the video, I'm already done editing it. Now, will this mean the content, the quality suffers? That if I don't record the video and edit it and tighten it up, that I might have some pauses, I might have some sort ofs, I might have some some actually. I'm using that Descript company. The amount of filler words I've got in here is absolutely insane. But I've been doing a lot of thinking, lately and just asking myself like, hey, how can I continuously create content? How, if I was to, not get paid to do something, which, at $20 a month that I'm making on YouTube right now, it's about in that, about in that ballpark. What would I want to do? And so I actually love creating videos, but again, I hate this editing piece. And so what I'm doing, experimenting with this live streaming, I've done that many times before, sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully. I used to have this big studio with a green screen. I've done some, trippy stuff on the background there. None of that today, but, really kicking off a sort of a second attempt at this, figuring it out. I've got some topics that I want to go through. I'll just touch on these couple points on the live stream experimentation. So one of the questions I've been asking YouTube, amazing, I love it, built up a little audience, I think 2.1 thousand subscribers. Thank you very much for anyone who subscribed. LinkedIn, I think I've got maybe 11,000 people, almost 12,000 following me there. So, I'm wondering, hey, should I be streaming to LinkedIn? What is the opportunity to even sort of like multi-stream? So how can I stream to YouTube? How can I stream to LinkedIn at the same time? If you want to add me on LinkedIn, if you're checking this out, 12,000 followers, connections, love to see it. And, so there's a great built-in audience there. And I'm also seeing, hey, really interesting gap in, okay, a lot of people are creating on YouTube, streaming on YouTube. I'm not seeing that many live creators on LinkedIn itself. So maybe there's an opportunity there. So thinking a little bit about that, the multi-streaming, the logistics about that, how can this all work out nicely? The other part that I'm trying to be a little bit more forceful with or working on is conversations with others. And so I have been doing this bit of a podcast. I put it out there, threw it out on LinkedIn. I think I had maybe I've had like 6 to 10 guests. Not as many people, wanted to talk to me as I hoped. But, I'm looking at this idea of, hey, how can I do these live videos and have someone through, say, Google Meet, just join in, be part of this conversation. There's an opportunity to create little events on LinkedIn, and then people will see that, and then literally can just hit the Google Meet and join in, trying to figure out some of the logistics of that. Repurposing content, being more consistent, all of those things that go along with being a creator. And again, maybe the content, I don't think the content quality suffers if I do it right. I think there's a little bit more prep ahead. And otherwise, then I've got, a very sloppy live stream. No one's going to want to watch that. That's a very hard thing to move forward with. But if I look at, okay, who are some inspirations for that, or what am I actually seeing that makes this interesting? First of all, there's a lot of great content being created. Podcasts, there's too many. I have doubts about this actually being successful in terms of, say, viewership. But I think there is an element to live. It's exciting. It's exciting for me right now. I think it's exciting for viewers. I'm looking at a couple prototypes here, not prototypes, but inspirations. One of them, I'll pull it up here, PBD Podcast, Patrick Bet David. Let me see if I can pull this up on the screen in case you haven't found them out before. So they are doing pretty highly produced, hour-long live podcasts And then, what's nice after, obviously you can then just watch it. So again, a lot of work going up into that production. But then after that, you can just watch the video. And so, pretty high quality content, but you also see, again, the imperfections and everything sometimes there. Hey, let's go right now to, there's the squirrel brain. I've got the other webcam on the side here. You can see me, I got a little candle going, a little side angle. I'm not showing you the belly right now because otherwise, I probably log off this right now if you're ever watching this. But anyways, working through some logistics of this. Even like, for example, browsing through tabs on the live screen, on the live stream, do you have any, sensitive details, anything like that? But I think the bigger question, I guess I'm asking, or why watch this? Why check out this live stream, any other live stream, any content that I've ever produced? So putting myself back, retreating from my narcissistic self and trying to put the focus back onto, hey, how can I, make this valuable for you? I think, there's a wide range of topics that I'm interested in, but there's a cross section, I would say, of psychedelics, technology, AI. There's a Canadian angle to this, which both is good, but maybe also limits that reach. But I think there's both a Canadian and a world angle that comes into this, trying to cover sort of news that is relatively recent, fresh, and new, give my perspective on it. I don't know if I'm going to have some hot takes on all consideration, but trying to use that, overall set of knowledge that I have to try to provide some insights or perspective on it. And, I think also continually seeing myself refine how I produce those insights. This is sort of a first crack at it. Hopefully I'm able to bring some, intelligent people on to provide their own perspectives. That the conversation is live, that it's unfiltered. Depending on the structure of how I do it, someone might jump on. I have no idea that they were going to jump on, and then I have to navigate and adapt in that situation. So I think lots of fun elements or opportunities for both, good things, some chaos, some bad stuff. I mentioned PBD, obviously Rogan, big live podcast for a long time, doesn't do it live anymore, but, still pretty unfiltered. You know what I've been watching a lot lately? Kill Tony. And that one has been another thing that has been pretty amazing. Now, obviously, Kill Tony, they don't stream it live, but it's a live audience. I don't think I'm going to have a live audience watching this anytime soon, but I like that idea of sort of the crispness that live brings and the pressure that it puts on. Whereas again, with these other videos I've been recording previously on the channel, yes, I've got, maybe some nice quality output in the end, because I'm able to filter and cut. But it, again, makes additional work and allows me, or it makes me, it just creates that little bit of friction where I'm not as excited or consistent as I would like to be. And if you're interested, you got the Tyler Bryden channel right here. All these links I'll drop in. So let's jump into some of the stories here, actually, because I think these are pretty interesting. I'll drink some water. I'll catch my breath and we'll do this. Okay, first one, Cohere, Canadian company. If you don't know Cohere, basically a foundational, I'll accept all your cookies, large language model company. They've been, very Canadian centric, Toronto based. I was actually just at their office last night for an event. And what I didn't realize is in that day, in that actual day, they had raised or closed their raise of $450 million. Reuters, come on, give me a screen here. So NVIDIA, Salesforce, we've got some heavy hitters. All right, I see you've got an ad there. Great. Startup Cohere in a $450 million round. Now, I've been hearing about this round for quite a while. So I actually said, hey, I wonder what happened with this. It's been pretty cold news for a while, and maybe it was unsuccessful. I didn't exactly know. But what I had also seen was Cohere. I'm connected with a bunch of them on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of the company overall. And they had a big on-site, basically, with a bunch of team members. And I thought, that's interesting. Maybe at this moment, they have actually completed their raise. They're bringing everyone together, aligning for the next iteration of the company. And they've had some amazing releases lately. So R+, Command R+, sort of a combination of the large language models with some retrieval augmented generation built in RAG. If you don't know that concept, retrieval augmented generation, a way to sort of store data with this sort of numerical representation to sort of understand the meaning of that. And so if you're sifting through large data sets, how do you prioritize, pull, retrieve that? And that's where the retrieval comes in to produce an answer. And so as you cross data set thresholds and size, that's a really required technique to be able to work with that data. And they've been focused on enterprise. And so I think they've done some really good pieces, including that. This was actually released in an open source. They've got a little banner on it here, where this has been released in a way, some open source manner where it's actually ranked on Hugging Face. In some cases, it's performing better than other models, GPT, Claude, and a lot of great sort of enterprise functionality baked into that. And they've also done some really nice UI work where now you can bring, you can basically white label the entire infrastructure, and they're sort of encouraging that. And they showed a couple companies who have been doing that last night at the event, which is really interesting. Now, a couple notes on the actual raise itself. NVIDIA, Jensen, Flexen, Salesforce, Cisco, and then we've also started to see some Canadian pension funds. So we're starting to see some very big support from the, I guess, not the Canadian government, but, legitimacy and an investment from Canada. So I think it's starting to be, I'm not going to say it's too big to fail, but there's, companies hitting unicorn valuations in Canada, relatively rare event. And I think because of the AI, the Canadian centrism of this company, that they do have the opportunity for more support. So apparently last year at another raise, $2.2 billion, that was Inovia Capital. That was last June. And this valuation now $5 billion. So more than doubled their valuation. Apparently this is not the only, this is not the closing of the round. They're actually going to continue raising at this current valuation. So we might see more money going here. And then there's an interesting part where, okay, great, makes money selling its models and application enterprise. With that, data privacy, grounding, lack of hallucinations, making sure everything's working well. A slow start, but now generalizing or getting towards 35 million in annual revenue. Now, that's a far cry from maybe what we're seeing at OpenAI, which apparently is a $2 billion plus run rate, but it's starting to snowball, and was only 13 million last year. And I think they've actually accomplished a lot of technical hurdles that are now allowing them to move towards commercialization. Now, what was interesting is this was not like a huge wide announcement. There was some articles about this. I expected maybe at that event last night, if this was super public, that they would have maybe talked about this a little bit. But just anyways, I thought that was sort of odd, like limited stories coming, and I expect to see a bigger push of news. And, great, I think, company that I'm again following. There's some very intense competition, and they have not always been sort of in that top two of, I would say, Anthropic and OpenAI, but have seen more and more legitimacy, especially with the sort of seeing a connection between them and Hugging Face relying on some of their, some of their work. So I am seeing that legitimacy, and there was even an Anthropic and OpenAI outage that Cohere is already part of this group, but having even more sort of momentum behind them, especially with this raise. Now, again, 500 million seems like a lot of money. Some of these other companies got a lot more than that, but I do like the sort of the path that they're on, and I cheer for anyone who's doing great work and building a company at this scale here in Canada. I think that's a very beautiful thing, and in my mind, I support it pretty deeply. So this link will be in here. I do think some of the feedback, if I look online, is around this ARR multiple, and I wonder if I can find it. Let's see. Jensen, Wong, signs, shirt. let's see if there we go. So people sort of saying, hey, are we at the top here in terms of AI? Now, I don't think that's really the truth. So Jensen here signing this. They're saying, hey, is this the top? This is basically he's an absolute rock star now. And then with Cohere raising at, now I thought I had the number, I think about 142 times annual revenue multiple at that $5 billion valuation. So part of what I'm trying to get to is this is a lot to live up to. They've got a lot of work cut ahead for them to live up to the valuation that they're at, considering that revenue that they currently are. However, I do also believe that the technology that they've built and then the team behind it obviously adds this periphery value, and we are in a super cycle of AI here. So with that in mind, then there is ample opportunity for them to capitalize on this valuation, build some great tech, and in the end, I think even if it doesn't quite work out, some sort of acquisition merger happens, and there's a lot of people who become very wealthy and successful because of that. Now, thank you again for having us at the event last night here, Cohere, and wishing you all the best on this journey. I think I've covered Cohere in a couple other stories, so you can see my past iteration and perspective on them, but very, very fascinating update. Congratulations on $450 million. That is a big, big number. So let's move on. This is a big one. Bank of Canada cuts interest rates. We've got a couple things to consider here. I've got the old Twitter with the top posts on Bank of Canada cuts interest rates, when you're drowning in debt, but they cut it by 0.25%. That is the number that we've got. We were at 5%, down to 4.75%. If you've heard other content from me, I rant about this. My partner and I, we screwed up. We got a house with a variable rate mortgage. We went from 0.99 to 5.99 interest rate. It hurts. I don't like talking about it. 0.25 is not going to do much for me, especially after Tiff, you told us rates were going to stay higher for a long time. But shouldn't have listened, and I should have looked at historical. And as I reflect back, as I listened to my Ray Dalio, all this stuff, I realized, oh man, we were not taking the historical macro perspective in it. Now, there are some concerns about this because the Canadian dollar has had a little bit of a rocky day. When this news first came out, you can see this drop here. Let me see if I can get the hover. My mouse, I've lost the sensitivity. There we go. 72, and then sort of back up and stabilizing a little bit. If I go year to date, where are we at? And then if I go max, in the middle, I guess, of where we've been. So concerns. Okay, so first of all, Canada, the first G7 company to cut a rate. Worry around them leading. What does this mean, and where does the Canadian dollar go? So there has been some concerns about that, and I think we'll see that play out. And also, again, do we continue to cut rates? Where do we actually go here? Now, again, a lot of people saying a combination of things, like such conflicting decisions here or opinions here. Some saying, hey, this is too late, actually. We should have cut in March. Other people saying, hey, we should have not cut here. And now this is a really dangerous spot for the Canadian dollar and Canada as a whole. And really lots of problems overall with Canada's growth and what's going on. So predictions on what the future looks like in terms of cuts. Looks like some people think the next one will be in September. And again, it's still a long way back to some sort of normalized rate, and we don't really know what that normal rate is. And generally, I think seeing some slowdowns across the economy here in Canada, the US also showing some signs. And so we do expect to see Europe follow in some cases, and then also the US at some point although there have had some pretty big deviation from, from us in terms of the strength of their economy. And I think that makes sense. American exceptionalism at its best. And I think that will continue as Canada sort of struggles to figure out how do we grow as a country there. So what else did we got? Bank of Canada cuts interest rates. Lots of, again, conversation on this. Let's see if I get one last thing here. I do Bank of Canada before I jump on to the next topic. Anything else that we got worthwhile? Time to influence the markets. Questions around what does this mean for house prices? Should people be shorting Canada? The devaluing of the devaluing of the dollar, and what does that mean? Okay, great, we got 25 bips cut, and if you're a variable rate, yeah, that makes some impact, and maybe we'll see some fixed rates go down a bit as people also prepare for refinancing, but there will be other consequences to all of this. So I'll drop the link in here. You can see the actual chart of this. We got into our house about here, and now we got in our house here, and the first day we got into our house, it went, and man, we should have moved into a fixed rate right away. I think no one knew that we were going to go this hard and this rapid. But those are lessons that you learn, and those are painful lessons along the way. Bad advice, bad gut instincts, and it's a longer story that I won't get into. Now, this is a little bit more niche, but I thought this was sort of interesting and worthwhile covering. Basically, we've got this Lykos, which is, I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing that right, but which was formerly MAPS. So I've talked about psychedelics for a long time, and they've been working on MDMA research for a long time. And what happened was they actually went, and basically there was a committee meeting to look at the work that they had done. And what seems like, now I'm not as deep into this as I was at one point, but they got pretty hammered here where, sort of the recommendation they made was to basically not recommend them moving forward. We've got another sort of article here. Come on, let's I'll get out of there. Basically used in conjunction with therapy, MAPS and Lykos, basically try to prove that it could help patients overcome their trauma. The studies, the FDA disagreed. So this was a big shot to the psychedelic movement. There's been a lot of commentary online, concern. There apparently was some, unreliable work that was done, some data that was missing, some impacts of the treatment that weren't maybe disclosed properly. I think there's a lot more deeper to go here, and more information will come out. This doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to move forward because there's an actual bigger meeting or sort of a process that's going to happen later in the year. But a lot of times it seems they listen to these recommendations. And so it was a really tough day for psychedelics in that part. And if you are interested in exploring this a little bit more, you can type Lykos in here. I got Daniel Carcel, ex-hockey player, big psychedelic advocate, talking about the challenges that come from this. Christian Engermeyer, a little bit of a controversial figure, I would say even more than a little bit, but head of or co-founded Itai Life Sciences, and they are big. I should follow them. I should also follow Compass. I should. Also breaks down sort of what happened here and basically labeled it as a disaster. Now, I'm not going to fully embrace his view without going deeper into this. They've had some back and forth and lots of challenges between them, but definitely some worthwhile perspectives to ingest if you are at all interested in sort of psychedelics and the movement that has been happening to bring these treatments to life. And I think they are very important work that are being done, but there's going to be some bumps along the way, no matter what you go. So let's jump out of psychedelics and back into the tech world. Just wanted to highlight one little piece here now. Suno, if you haven't known, I think they just raised $125 million, and it's basically using AI to generate songs and music. I think there's going to be a lot of controversy here and questions around how they actually were able to make this so good, but damn, it's pretty good. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to see if this actually works, and I hope I also don't get in trouble. So just starting that over so you can hear it. So this wonderful lady gives a little hum, and then, so a Suno product manager, and then that immediately turns into a song with a prompt, humming a tune, but give it an R&B vibe. And I just thought this was a stunning implementation of AI technology. Also, basically just how can I take a little bit of thought process and, like I said, singing in the shower, humming, and turn that into a song, re-customize that over and over and over again. And so this could actually surface entire completed songs, or at least drive you in the direction to make that song and continue to iterate on it. So I think Suno has a long way to go. Very interesting company that I've been following pretty closely here, and just been pretty blown away by the evolution of it, from very janky original prototypes, the initial release in 2023. Oh man, we're moving fast. And now polished output that's pretty insane. So lots of controversy here and questions around artistry and how they've achieved this level of quality, and did they scrape licensed content to make this happen? These are all things that I think will be uncovered, similar to what we've seen with OpenAI and some of these companies and how they've built these engines here. However, it seems like once the cat's out of the bag, the cat's out of the bag, and that's a trend that we are seeing. So let's wrap this up with one last, I think, release in AI that is pretty powerful and worthwhile. It's called the Descript. It was the Descript's recent release. I'm a big fan of Descript. I literally use it. Let's see if I can pull it up here now on the screen without breaking anything. And we actually just recorded What's New in Speak video just earlier this afternoon. And a bunch of pretty, powerful functionalities here. So filler words, I talked about that already. I can hit remove all. It will remove all those filler words. So again, pretty big time saving right there. I can now pop this underlord, and really a lot of these functions were already there, but they've structured this to make it much more accessible and clear. So for example, eye contact, if you're not looking at yourself if you're not looking, if I jump forward to say a different moment, I think Vatsel's here at some point. Interesting. I don't see Vatsel. There he is. You can hit eye contact, and it will actually look directly at the camera. So it's really powerful. You can center the active speaker. Now, what's fascinating, these are a couple new ones that I like to see, is there's chapters, there's remove retakes. Studio sound has been a big one to clean up the sound and make it very crispy. What I'm fascinated is I've got a whole structure here now called repurpose. So create clips, create highlight reel, find highlights, and then there's even some translation in beta. And then there's a bunch of publishings where it will even help you write the YouTube description and all of that. So really very use case specific product, which, as I see the more horizontal AI taking place, seems valuable and important. And so when you can have a play space like this with video creation, then I think you can be much more focused with your execution on AI technology. And that's what led to Descript doing some really good things and then building, I think, some pretty killer functionality. So even if this, say, is an hour video, it's not quite that, but that cuts off 20 minutes of editing. That's a valuable thing. It allows you to create more content, repurpose more content, and all of that. I used to, in a way, hate Descript when I was very early on building Speak, and we sort of went different ways. We went more on the analysis side. They went more on the editing. And so I've actually become a big fan of them. I've always been a big fan of them, but worthwhile if you are creating, trying to share. You can see some great creators on this side. Even simple things like, hey, let's change the aspect ratio so I can push this onto Instagram or stories or whatever there, and then quickly go back. So I'm going to be testing some of these. I'll come back and see if I have anything worthwhile to see, but a great release and a very cheeky video that they had on Product Hunt and YouTube here, where they sort of do a little bit of humor there. Let's see, it's only 385 views, which I find surprising, but maybe they had this hosted somewhere else, and I know they've got quite a community there, and did some great demos walking through the product. Also, using this term underlord as like this idea of, instead of overlord, it's an underlord. And, yes, there's all this weird stuff going on in AI, but, there's this opportunity to embrace it and use it in a very powerful way. So we've been going for a while. If I check in on this side, what's up? If I come back to the DSLR camera only, this was the first live stream here. I had one view tune in for about 15 seconds. So not ideal, but very early on in this journey, I'll get better. And for me, what I'm happy is I can shut this stream off here now, and I'm done. I'm done for the day. Now I still might repurpose and do some things there. And, it's interesting when you don't have this massive audience, you just sort of got to throw out these things, do your best to create, and maybe someone catches on, maybe someone doesn't. But now I'm going to end this stream. And I'll be back here again. If you have any ideas, thoughts, if you ever want to join, shoot me a message, let me know. And thank you so much